So we're going to be looking at now digitally sampled sound. Really simple concept. Me talking to you right now, I'm doing it through my mouth. Got sound waves. I'm talking loud and very quietly. That sounds weird. Using a microphone. That microphone is capturing my analog sound. My microphone is plugged into my computer and it's going to go through what's called an ADC, an analog to digital converter. What that's going to do to my sound is it's going to turn it into zeros and ones, and it's going to be stored on my hard drive when I decide to save it. When you guys press play on a video, so you're going to get the video, you're going to press play, it's going to take my digital sound and it's going to reverse the process. It's going to put it through a digital to analog converter. That's going to take the sound from zeros and ones back into the analog, which human ears can actually understand. It's then going to go for a speaker and you're going to be able to understand it. This is a nice visual representation. This is the analog version of my voice, which you can understand. This is it turned into zeros and ones. So why would we want to turn it into digital in the first place? Well, we want to turn it into digital for the following reasons. Number one, so that we can actually edit, so we can actually record, so we can keep it later, edit to make changes. So I can actually copy it if I wanted to and distribute. So imagine like you're a recording artist. You can then basically make those copies, and when you do make these copies, the quality is the same. In the olden days, you wouldn't use digital, you would do analog to cassette tape. So you'll put like a cassette tape in, you'll hit record, and it'll put the song or sound onto this cassette tape. The problem is the quality isn't the same. It definitely deteriorates. Whereas if we're using digital, like MP3s, etc., the quality is exactly the same as what you hear right now with me. Amazing sound quality, right? So, again, you do need to be comfortable with this process of analog to digital using an ADC, analog to digital converter. When we get it into digital, we're then able to do things like edit it, modify it, record, copy and distribute, quality being high. Then, if we want to listen to the sound, we then put it through a digital to analog converter so that the human ears can actually hear it. Because if you try to listen to a digital version of it, you just hear beep rather than the actual sound itself. Okay, I'm not going to patronize you by asking you what are the two different types of compression. We're just going to go straight into some harder compression questions. So here's the first one. I don't even know who she is, but someone wants to compress a sound file recording to make sure it's as small as possible for their website. Identify which type of compression she would use and describe how it would compress a file. Okay. So let's rock and roll. Well, you've got your choice of lossy or lossless, but both could be used. So let's talk about both of them. Let's talk about lossy first. So with lossy, a compression algorithm is used. We can then say it removes sounds human ear can't hear. So like background noise. So we use perceptual, music, shaping. What else can it do? Oh, you're running out of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put lossy over here a little bit. We could also reduce the sample rate. So as we know with sounds, you've got your samples, the amount of sample points. more sample points you have, for higher the quality, the higher the quality, the higher the file size. So we can reduce the amount of samples which we're using, and the amount of bits we use within our song as well. So reduce sample rate and resolution. So the less bits we use within a sample, the lower the quality. Okay, data cannot be reverted. That means put back to normal again, or back to the original. So we talked about lossy compression algorithm, remove sounds human ear can't hear, like background noise, using perceptual music shaping. You can reduce the sample rate, the amount of sample points being used, which lowers the quality but makes the file size smaller, and data cannot be reverted. Or you can choose lossless, where, guess what, a compression algorithm is used. But how this works, it looks for repeated patterns. These repeated patterns, so it's like similar sounds, are turned into numbers. So the sound waves are turned into numbers, are indexed. I'm going to put in brackets turned into numbers. Sounds sent and reverted. Thank you, Bento. Sound sent and reverted back to the original using the index. So you could use something like run length encoding, which we'll talk about on a different question. So the sound file will be sent like this: 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. It will have in a table 1 being this sound wave, 2 being this sound wave, 3 being this sound wave, and it's able then to take these numbers and replace them with the sound waves coming back, well, reverting back to the original once it's been sent. So someone gets it like this, which is a tiny file size. When they uncompress it or decompress it, uncompress, we'll use that word. When they uncompress the file, it reverts it back to the original, so it'll be back to this again. I'm hoping you've given, so before we move any further, you can mention either or, lossy or lossless, as long as you explain it well. Give 2 benefits of compressing a file. Well, we've got a couple. Quicker to upload to website. It is talking about a website in the question. So this is me. I'm going to put my videos onto my website. If I don't compress it, this is my website over here. I have to send all my videos one at a time, and it'll take like hours. If I compress it to make the file size smaller, it should take about 10 minutes. So it's quicker for me to put it onto the web server. That means that you guys can go and watch videos. It's also quicker for users to download. It takes up less storage on my server. So my website server has about 20 gigs. Once I use those 20 gigabytes up, I've got to pay for more storage. So I want to make sure that my files are as small as possible. And one more. Website won't slow down due to size. There you go, there's some benefits. Using lossy compression on an image, so if you want to compress it, this is like one image split in half. Not compressed, compressed. Different things what we can do. We could reduce the number of pixels per square inch. So on the one on the right has less pixels than the one on the left. One on the left has got millions of little pixels all together like this. This, you can see these pixels, they're huge. It take up a big space. So that is one thing we can do. We could also reduce the amount of colors per pixel. Very simple. By reducing the amount of colors per pixel, our file sizes could become smaller. The quality of the picture goes down, but it becomes smaller. We could also crop an image just to keep the bits which we want and get rid of unnecessary. So we don't need this guy here, for example. It's pointless, so we could crop it out. This is another example of a before and after. Not as extreme as the other one. Look at how pixelated this blue sky one is. This one's not as bad, but it is using less colors and less pixels per square inch, but slightly less. You may not be able to see the difference yourself, and this is good lossy compression. Reduces the amount of pixels per square inch, but you don't notice it. Reduces the amount of colors per pixel, but you don't notice it. Again, we could probably crop this sky and take it out, and we'll have a smaller file size. So moving on from sound compression, let's look at video compression. Videos are made up of images, basically. A whole load of images sequenced together to create frames. So you've got millions of images all combined together. But it's not just images. So you've got your image, but they're also made up of sound. So you're compressing two different things, or you're storing, let me say, two different things. This basically means that the files can be huge. You're storing image, you're storing sound, you're storing millions of photos all combined together. So how does video compression actually work? Well, what it does is a number of things. Number one, it gets rid of things which, or information which is unnecessary. So unnecessary info is removed. This could basically mean parts of an image we don't need. It could mean reducing the quality of image, as in the image resolution. Which basically means reducing pixels, colors, whereas removing image parts, it could mean cropping, or it could mean deleting individual images because they don't make a difference to the actual video. So it could be someone let's imagine this person and all the people in the background were paused like that for about 5 seconds, but you only want a 1 second shot. You would actually have 5 of this photo, sorry, of this image. And what you'll do is you delete the other ones because they're not needed. You just keep one. And it's a quick snap. You'd also get rid of, or you'd compress the sound. On top of that, we'll look at ways of how we can actually look at other patterns. Well, we kind of mentioned patterns already when I mentioned about like this being the same shot for a few seconds. So it does look for patterns, or it looks at repetition to delete. Now, there are two different video compression algorithms which we could talk about. I'm just going to talk about H.264/ACE-VC and H.265/HEVC. And they're very common. And what they have are rules and instructions, both of them. So let me just make this a bit bigger. So rules and instructions. Rules and instructions for what? Rules and instructions for reducing size of video efficiently. So we try and do it in the best way possible without losing too much quality. This is basically more efficient than this. It's more up to date, it's new. It's a new basically compression technique. And we can actually compress something to be 1,000 times smaller than the original. This will allow data, like movies, to be transmitted online really easily. So you'll notice there's a theme with images, with sound, with video. The whole point of compression is to simply reduce aspects which isn't going to make too much of a difference to us.